All right, in this video, what I'm going to show you how to do is create a simple survey in Psytoolkit. For context, this is assuming that you've already created an account and that you've already logged into that account, and this will be the landing page you hit. The first thing it will do is tell you that if you ever use Psytoolkit and publish anything or write a paper, even if it's just for a class, you must cite the following two articles where Stowit essentially created Psytoolkit. So give credit where credit's due. Okay. Now, what you'll see on this landing page is there's several menus down the left-hand side. General, create, actions, edit experiments, and edit surveys. Okay. Now, obviously, if you're just creating an account and getting in its first time, your surveys and experiments will be empty. Okay. What you'll need to do is you'll need to go up to the Create menu and then go to Create New Survey. Then you'll have to type in a name for your survey, and it won't accept spaces or special characters. It will just automatically convert them to underscores. So it helps just to write them with an underscore from the beginning. So I'll go with example survey for my name, and I'll create a completely new online survey. Note that this new example survey just came down here into the edit survey section, okay? And it'll bring up the survey editor here, okay, which is this white text box. If you don't see a white text box, it's because there is actually an error with this here lately in sort of August 2022, which you can fix simply by following these instructions where you go to the settings section and no longer enable this experimental feature that I guess is not working presently. Regardless, this is what you should end up with, okay? Now, if you've never coded before, okay, Psytoolkit uses a coding syntax where you have to write things in a specific order in order to actually get a question on the backside. However, you can also make little notes for yourselves or comments, and that's what these are right here. Anytime you have a hashtag, okay, you're able to write a little note to yourself. And this is so you can essentially remind yourself. Now, the way questions work in Psytoolkit is you have several component parts. The first is a line. This is a lowercase l followed by a colon, where you can actually give this. I suppose it's actually labels. In this case, it's example question 1. T colon and then the type of question. Q colon and then your question and then your different response options. Okay? And there are a bunch of different types of questions. And they all have syntax that's slightly different. And it's not going to be practical for you to remember them all, which is why there is the scripting help tab right here in the top right. So that when you open this, it will give you this large help page. Whenever I'm coding a survey, I basically have it open the whole time. Where down the left-hand side, there is a little menu where you can go to any type of question that you want. Okay? And the way this page works is it starts out, it will tell you roughly what the structure of each question, the general structure, and then it will give you coded examples. Okay, so just like I did in the video, L colon's the label, the type of question, the actual question, and then the reasonable answers. Okay, now everything is in HTML. You don't have to change the colors, but if you do want to change the colors, make things bold, it's all in HTML language. And then the different types of questions, which you can also just directly navigate here on the left-hand side. But let's say we want to do, say, a radio question where you hit one choice out of many options. This is what it would look like in the actual survey. And this is what the code for that will actually look like. Where there's the label, which is just for you, the radio or the type of question, which tells the computer which type of question, and then what you're actually going to write for your question on the queue line, followed by the different options. And then it will go so far as to give you example code as well. Okay, and then further iterations. What if you actually want images in there? Okay, if you want to change the scores, like if you're doing custom scoring. Okay, if you want an other option, it'll give you all of these different things. So take some time, browse through that, pause the video. Okay, so what we're going to do right here is we're going to create a basic survey which has 4 types of questions. We're going to go with a radio question, a check question, a text box question, and then we're going to make a small Likert scale. We'll go with a 5-point Likert scale. Okay, and we're going to start with the radio question. And one way that I always like to do this is I like to go right to the syntax for that, okay, where I go ahead and click save right here on the left-hand side, and it'll take me right to it. And then I'll move this to the left-hand side of my screen, and then I'll have Psytoolkit open on the left-hand side. That way, I can actually see exactly what it is that I am at that given point in time trying to code. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete these example questions. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and start coding. So it's L for label. Okay, and I'm going to be kind of simple and just give a label that's descriptive to the question. Okay, in this case, I'm going to go student status. Keep it short, keep it simple, don't have spaces. My type is a radio question. My question that I'm going to ask is, which of the following applies to you? Not a student, a part-time student, a full-time student. And that's my first radio question. Okay, the next type of question that I want to do is a check question. So I could come back to this page and I could basically just click check right here. I could make it big again and click check over here, or I could just scroll down until I find the check, which is what I'm going to do. Okay, so right here I want a check question. Of course, it moved on me again, so I'll just scroll back down. And so what a check question will do, okay, is it'll let you select multiple. So which of the following did you eat today? And here we have all of these different kinds. Now, I particularly like to use this when I'm asking questions about race and ethnicity, because someone could be bi or triracial, okay? So L, race, ethnic, race F, and then type, I want check, and I'm looking back over here every single time to see what I need to type. And then for my question, let's go ahead and let's go something nice and simple. Okay. Please select all that apply to you. And then we'll go ahead and we'll start doing this, and we'll go with just keeping it kind of simple, just for the purpose of demonstration. We'll go with white, Asian, black, American, Hispanic, Latino, and then we'll go with, let's just go with other, so that's not listed. Okay. And normally, if you want to do this, your wording would be different. You would have a lot more options, but just for the purpose of demonstration, this will work. Okay. Now, the next type of question we're going to do is a text box question. This is where the individual could have, say, the full range of responses that they want. Now, note there's a text line and text box. A text line is just one line of text. A text box would be a full-on sort of paragraph that someone could write across multiple lines. And so we'll go with text box. Okay. Notice that when we look right here for our text box, ask for one or more lines of text. Okay. We have right here, text box, enter your feedback. Okay, and here we go. All right, so in this case, we'll come down here, L for label, and in this case, we'll go comments, and we'll go type text box, and then we'll go questions, and we'll just keep it simple. Please type in the box below. Okay. And then we'll pretend that this is, you know, I don't know, a course survey, right? Where you're trying to get information about the professor. So, we'll go with what things did the professor do that were helpful? Okay, and we'll just go ahead and leave that there. Now you can actually, as you indicate below, add a second text box. Okay, what things did the professor do that were not helpful? Okay, and so that's as simple as it is to add a text box. Okay, the last type of question that we're going to add is a scale question or a Likert style scale. Okay, it's very ubiquitous. Okay, so right here on the left-hand side in this menu, scroll down, scale, Likert style scale. So here we can see this is actually two parts and it's more complicated. We have to identify the scale first. Then we have our typical question syntax. Okay, and here you indicate it to scale, and then you indicate what specific scale that you need. And so this is going to give us something that looks like this in the end, where we have these statements, which we specify right here. All right, so let's go on and let's get coding this. Okay, so here with Psytoolkit on the left-hand side, we need to specify a scale, and we'll go scale, and we'll have 5-point agree for a 5-point Likert. And we'll need to specify all the options, and we'll go strongly agree, agree, neither agree nor disagree, disagree, and you need a space there. And then strongly disagree. So there's our scale and that setup. Now we can begin to add our questions. L, and we'll go with prof rating. Okay. For our label, our question is please rate how much you agree with each of the following statements. Question type, scale, and now we need to go specify the scale we want, which is 5-point agree, and this has to match exactly, including caps. So in this case, I'm just going to copy there. Oh, not cut. Copy there and paste there. Okay. Now I can indicate all of the different statements. The professor was an effective teacher. I found this course useful. Oh, see if I can type today. I would recommend this course. And then finally, let's go with this course challenged me. Okay, and so this is essentially all we need to do on the basic end to create a survey. So once we have that typed, I'm going to go ahead and click save. Now, you're coding this, so a tiny little typo will create an error to where the survey won't work, and it can be really frustrating. And it's case sensitive, and the periods have to be in certain spots, and the space have to be in certain spots. Now, the next step that we have to do is we have to actually compile it. So right below where we click save, we have to come down here and we have to click compile. What that's going to do, it's going to check us for errors. Now, if we get this, all's happy hunky-dory. Your survey was compiled successfully. That means we could progress on. But you're probably or could reasonably hit something where there's not an error. So for example, let's say we saw this L right here, and let's say we actually mistook that for a 1. Now we'll go ahead and save it. Now we know where this error is. This is a 1 where it's supposed to actually be an L. We're going to come down here and compile it now. Now it's going to give us this compilation error. Note that it's giving us and reporting these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 errors. Okay? But we know there's actually only 1 because we intentionally made it. And that's because this character right here is not an L, it's a 1, which would be a really easy error to make here. Okay? Now what happens is when it doesn't recognize a new label, it can't recognize what the Q is, it can't recognize what the T is, and so on down the line. And so sometimes these errors can cascade. Okay, so just go to the first one and try and fix it. Unknown survey command 1 : come up here. All right, let's delete that, replace it with an L, save, and then compile again. Now we have this successful compilation. Okay, now the next step would be to actually get our survey online. So now we come down to the online offline survey status. Okay, so right now our survey is not online. We're going to switch to survey is online for when you are still designing it. Okay, and we're going to change the survey status. Okay, now we could create a QR code so people could scan this. Or we could just copy this link to the clipboard. Okay, so I've copied it to the clipboard, and I'm going to come over here. I'm going to paste that link in, and it's going to take me to our survey. Now, the landing page for the survey is actually going to look like this. And this is where you would normally put informed consent and information about your survey. We'll address that here in a minute, but not quite get to that yet. It'll tell us the technical requirements. As you can see, I'm using Google Chrome. Okay, and then we will progress on. So we'll click this button to start the survey. Which of the following applies to you? Which remember was our first question. We can go back and we can actually see that question right here. Not a student, part-time student, full-time student. I am not a student. I, in this case, am white Caucasian, but let's pretend that it was someone else taking it who happens to be biracial. They can then select one or more race ethnicities. And then we have our 2 text boxes. What things did the professor do that was helpful? Everything and nothing. What things did the professor do was not helpful? Everything and nothing. Okay, click this button to continue. And then here comes our rating scale. And we'll just go ahead for now and put neither agree nor disagree just to enter items. You can click through, and then you're given a link. You are now done with the survey. Click here to leave the website. Now, Psytoolkit defaults to DuckDuckGo. Okay, but you could actually change that. In fact, let's go back and let's show you now the informed consent parts, that landing page, and how to change that link at the end. Okay. So here is our editor again, right? Here's where we would go to compile it, and here's the online, offline status. Okay, there's some more advanced things right here. We don't need to worry about that right now. Survey options, browser exclusions, and style. You could change the color scheme. Just stick with the cool blue. For multiple questions, separate questions as follow. You can change that. There'll be a survey name that actually pops up on top. Actually, if we go back there, we can actually see that. So before you begin, click button, survey name here. We can go ahead and change that. So we can change that to say example survey. Okay. How to manage the progress, maximum duration. There's all kinds of things you can do. Okay. We'll actually go back and click this shortcut to the save our survey information. Okay. Now, to change that welcome page, okay, we have to scroll down till we get to survey intro screen, ethics, and consent information. You do have the option to skip it. You'll never really want to do that, okay? First is that about that survey section, which would be right here in between these two bars, okay? So we can come back to here and we can type something like this is an example survey for a class, okay? The read more section, which again would be sort of right in here as well, information about this study. This survey is for a psychology class. And then contact information. Here you could put an email, something like that. Oftentimes it would be a phone number. Here's actually say my work email, which is available on the website. So I'll just put C email below. Okay. Consent and ethics. Oftentimes you do want something like this where there's an explicit permission required. That'd be something you would normally check, like they cannot go on unless they specifically agree. Okay. And that would be them agreeing to whatever statement is here. Please confirm that you want to participate in the study. Your information, including computer IP, will be stored and might be used for research. Okay. And then you can leave something right here such that you can see what I always autofill. Yes, I understand my rights. I'm at least 18 years old and agree to participate. Okay. Then let's just go ahead and let's click shortcut to save. Save that information. And there's also this jump back to recompile because you have to recompile after any time you make a change. So we'll compile it here. Our survey was successfully compiled and we're in design mode. So you can just check that right here. And so now we can see different things. This is an example survey for class. This survey is for a psychology undergraduate class. Information on studies, see below. Contact email. Important requirements, and now we can see that they have to check this box positively affirming that they understand their rights, 18, agree to participate, etc. And then they'll click the button to start the survey, and here they are. You can also see where we had our example survey. Okay, so there's that piece. Okay, now so compile the text survey, online status. The next thing we want to do is that sort of ending page. So there's our intro screen stuff. And then consent and ethics, essential survey, end screen. You have the option not to send one at all. You can do that. You can say thank you there at the end and then the thing. Okay, so let's just change this to thank you for taking my survey. And then you could put a website wherever you want. In this case, let's go www.bvu.edu. Okay, thank you for taking my survey. Okay, if you were giving them a unique code, you could do that as well here, like if you were doing it for participation extra credit in a class. And you can also set other requirements as well. We're not going to worry about any of that, so I'll just click to save. Oh, that's right. When you set these, you have to include this HTTP part. So now we'll save the survey information. And we'll go back to recompile it and compile it. And then we have our link. So I'll just go ahead and copy that link to the clipboard. There's also the link right here. I know this jumps around, but that's kind of Psytoolkit. Throw that in there. And then, yes, I want to leave. Before I begin, yes, I understand my rights. Not a student, white Caucasian. They technically don't have to enter anything here. They will have to enter something to be able to progress here. And it's thank you for taking my survey. You are endowed with survey. Click to leave the website. And here it will take you to BVU's website now instead. All right, that's the basics of how to create a survey and edit some of the key parameters of it. Good luck.